Hi, this is Mike from Venture Data-Comm, and here's a 10-minute training on your UX5000 telephone. All the telephones are pretty similar to this one. They've all got the same handset. They have an adjustable back bracket, and the cable plugs in the back and goes off to the wall to connect to your telephone system. All our phones have displays at the top, and right above the display, you'll notice a light that flashes when the phone rings. This might also flash when you have a voicemail at your extension. On the screen just below that, we've got the time and date, and those are set centrally. So if your time or date are wrong, a help desk ticket can be added to the help desk system, or you can just notify your site administrator, and that can be changed in one place, and it affects all the phones. Next row, we've got an extension number and possibly a name. The extension number is the extension of your telephone. So if you walk up to any other telephone in the building, or at another site that's networked together with this building, you can pick up the phone, dial this number, this phone will ring. So I'll make a test call. This is extension 403. So there I've got a flashing light, and there I've got a ring. So I've got my extension number, that worked, the name, which can be adjusted centrally by the site administrator, and then I've got some variable buttons down here at the bottom. On the screen it says List, Directory, vMessage, and has a little down arrow. You can experiment with the buttons. There's more advanced instructions available. vMail or vMessage, specifically vMSG, allows you to access your voicemail system. I'll hit that now.
You have no new messages. To record and send a message, press RS.
If I want to record a greeting, I'll simply hit G for greeting.
The greeting that is currently
I'll choose greeting number 1,
Greeting 1 has been recorded.
and I'll hit R to record.
L. Start recording at the tone and press the pound key when you are done.
This is a test greeting for extension 403. I hit pound when I'm done.
Has been recorded.
I'm all done. I've recorded a greeting from my voicemail box. Additional instructions on listening to your voicemail are available on your green, blue, or other colored card that we've distributed, or we can also email you these instructions as an Adobe Acrobat file. Working our way down the screen here, on the telephone we've got some different lighted buttons. On this phone they happen to be line buttons. On many phones they're park buttons. I've also got a voicemail key for a group voicemail. So for instance, if your company has a group or general voicemail box, you'd probably have a lit button here. You can hit that, and you can access the voicemail for that group. So you can also have an all page button or something else. All these are programmable, and the labels can be laser printed. So let us know if you need a label changed. Your site administrator can order additional labels, and there's no charge for clients with a service agreement. Let's say one of these is a park button. That's a common way to put calls on hold these days, and it's really neat. If I'm on the phone with someone and I want to park the call, I simply hit the park button, one of the buttons that's available, and I hang up. So I was on the phone, I parked the call, the light would be flashing on every phone that has that same park. So now I could go anywhere else in the building, or if you're a multi-site operation, I could go to another site, and that call would still be sitting there. If I leave the call parked for too long, that park call will ring back to this telephone, so it's not lost forever. If I want to pick up a park call at the phone that I parked it at, or anywhere else in the building, I simply pick up the phone and hit the flashing park button. The call's back at my telephone. Really neat. Other than that, working our way down the telephone, we've got a regular keypad here, and functions just like the keypad on any other telephone that you're accustomed to using. At the bottom of the keypad, we've got a conference button. Additional instructions on how to use conference calling are available on your training sheet. But in general, if I'm on the phone and I want to make a conference call, I simply hit the conference button. The caller I was speaking to would be put on hold. I'll get a new dial tone, and I can dial 9 and the telephone number of the second person. I can keep on adding callers up to 32. And the instructions, besides being on the green sheet, actually appear here on the screen. The words up here will change to things like add or begin, and those are self-explanatory, allowing you to add calls to your conference call. When you're done with your conference call, you simply hang up the phone. All set. Other buttons here we've got are a speaker button. This gets us a dial tone, and that's an internal dial tone. What that means is I can hit it and then dial 9, and dial a 10-digit number to get out an outside telephone call. Or I can simply hit the speakerphone and dial a 3-digit extension, like 301. If there's a 301, I'll be talking to them. So that's the speakerphone. The hold button is red. It does two things. If you're on the phone, you see how my call 1 is lit up? I could simply hit hold, hang up the phone, and that caller will be placed on hold and call 1 would remain flashing. That lets me know that there's somebody on the call 1. It's just at my extension. It's not a park, it's a hold. If I want to grab that call again, pick up the phone, hit call 1, I'm back in business. The hold button also does something that's more important, which is detailed on your card, which is it transfers calls. So to transfer a call, if I'm on the phone, I want to transfer to another extension. I simply hit hold, dial the other person's 4-digit extension, 3-digit extension, whatever, and I can hang up. That call's left my telephone, and it's gone to the other person's telephone. Great. Well, what if I want to let the person know that the call is coming? Let's redo that scenario. I'm on the phone with you, and I want to transfer you to someone else. I hit hold, the other person's extension, and I wait. That other person's phone will be ringing. I can say, hey, I've got Miss Jones on the phone. When I hang up, she'll be here. Again, I simply hang up, and that hold button did all the work. It transferred the call to the other extension. I've got a few extra buttons here I'd like to talk about. You probably won't use the dial button, and the flash button's almost useless for you, but the mic button's pretty useful. If I hit the button and it turns red, think of that like a stop sign. So this is saying that the microphone on the speakerphone here is muted. So if I use the speakerphone, I'm on hold for a long time, I can mute my mic, and the person on the other end can't hear what I'm saying. It's useful if it's a loud area or something like that. Got a couple other buttons. I've got the call 1 button. Every time I pick up the phone, call 1 lights up. It's a really unique feature of these NEC phone systems, and call 1 is simply the first of your 2 extensions that are built into every telephone. So if I pick up the phone, call 1 is lit up. If someone calls me from another extension, I get a second call. I can pick that call up by simply hitting the button. Hello? So, pretty doggone neat. Below that, we've got, of course, our 2 call buttons and then a D&D button, which is Do Not Disturb. If I push Do Not Disturb and I just let the system sit for a few minutes, the phone will go into the Do Not Disturb mode. What that means is that no one can call this phone. So if someone calls this extension number while it's in Do Not Disturb, they'll hear a message, either a verbal message saying this extension is in Do Not Disturb, or else they'll get a busy signal. If an outside caller calls the extension, it'll skip ringing and go right to voicemail. If there's an operator console in the whole phone system, anywhere in the system that's got this as a line appearance or a station that they can keep track of, it'll flash fast and let them know that you're busy. I would not recommend using Do Not Disturb. It tends to interrupt functionality. So you say, if I don't use Do Not Disturb, what do I do about my phone ringing when I'm in a meeting? We've got this last button, which has quite a few features. It's the volume control. So for instance, if I call this phone, I can turn up and down the ringer. It's also the screen contrast. You see right now how it's pretty readable. I can make it darker, or I can make it lighter. So your phone probably isn't broken. If the screen is difficult to read, it probably just needs to be adjusted with the contrast adjustment. Again, this is the speakerphone volume 2, etc. The last feature, which I think you will use quite a bit, is the last number dial. So if your phone is idle, doing nothing, you hit L and D, and you can scroll through, using these arrows up here, the last 10 numbers you dialed. A more common use for the L and D button is simply pick up the phone and hit L and D, and the last number you dialed will be dialed by the telephone system. Well, we only had 10 minutes, but you've got a basic understanding of how the telephone system works. If you have more questions, please put in a help desk ticket at your help desk or at the Venture DC help desk at venturedc.net. Thank you.